right, everybody. Hey, welcome to the Meeks Mountain Trail Alliance, an introduction to the H100K. My name's Matt Young. I'm here with Caleb Bowen, about to have a conversation. And man, we're so excited to have you here, Caleb. I'm going to do a little bit of introduction. We're going to have a conversation and talk about the 100K. So Caleb Bowen, he is 28 years old. He's the assistant cross country and track coach at Marshall University. He lives in Huntington, West Virginia, but he is originally from the great town of Hurricane, West Virginia. In fact, talking off camera, he knows these trails, has run up on these hills in his high school career, went to Hurricane High School and Marshall University. Some of his accomplishments are he's a two-time Rim to River champion. He is a three-time Canal Trace 50K champion. He was the first West Virginian at the Boston Marathon in 2019. He has PRs in the marathon of 2:32, the 50K of a 3:57, 40-mile PR of 5:01, 50 miles 6:55, and the 100-miler 15:37:05. And he and I are about to set the world record for a hair differential call. Never before has there been somebody with less hair and more hair on a Zoom call together. And so, but I got to tell you, you know, like when your hair is down and underneath the hat, people can really see how much you've got. And it's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got some hair envy, but I want you to know, Caleb, that I haven't always been like this. In fact, I would tell you that this is really kind of more of a choice because for my running, I like to be aerodynamic. So I shave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And also, you know, in the summertime, it keeps me a whole lot cooler. And so just to prove that, I know a lot of people aren't going to believe it because they haven't seen me with hair, but I want to share a picture with you and see if you can see this. But can you see? So once upon a time, I had a lot of hair, just like you, and I just found it to be way too hot, and it just kept me, you know, weighed me down while I was running. So kind of got away from that and decided not to do it anymore. But
Yeah.
anyways, so
It gets hot.
yeah, you know who this is, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I have to tell you that I am see if I can get rid of this now too. I have an alter ego that is Napoleon Dynamite. So
Exactly.
I think it's a good thing. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you too. So
It's funny because when I was in high school, I actually dressed up like Napoleon Dynamite for Geek Day, my senior year of high school. And my girlfriend at the time dressed up like Deb. And it's the greatest thing ever because we nailed it.
do you have pictures of that somewhere?
I have pictures on my Facebook, and I even did the Napoleon Dynamite dance during the guy cheerleading at homecoming week.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
It was great. Like,
That's awesome. Yeah.
definitely the best. I mean, probably the best geek day of my career, which I won 3 times in a row, which is pretty good. But yeah.
Well, we've got some more things in common then. I always say, look, I'm a moron. I love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, along with Nacho Libre, to kind of give you an idea of who you're dealing with here. And really got into it. I can quote both of those movies all day long. We might find a chance to do that.
You need to, yeah.
So I told you we got into this. I have a little story I wanted to share with you. So this year I was at Rim to River and working an aid station. So it's at Long Point Aid Station, and it's at mile 45 and mile 70. So my family and I were there for the weekend, and we all went to do this. And so we got there a little bit early because I wanted to walk them out Long Point and so they could see that view and then come back and get started. And lo and behold, on our way out there, before we even got to the aid station, again, our shift was 12 to 4, 12 to 5. Here you come, first runner through. And so we saw you before. It was like, 11:30 or so. I think by the time you came through there, definitely before noon, and saw you go on. And so that was mile 45. And then, so we go and we're doing our work at the aid station. My wife's checking people in. My daughter is filling up water bottles. I'm back there burning quesadillas left and right. It took me forever to get that down, and just having a good time. And working an aid station, if you've never done it, and I'm sure that you have, it's really, it's a lot of fun watching the runners come through, and you kind of learn a lot about transitions, what people do right, what do wrong. We're going to talk about that some as part of our training for the 100K too. But we're just having a great time. I'm back there burning quesadillas, man. I look up and there you are again. I mean, it seemed like we had just gotten there, but it was 3:00 and you were back at mile 70 and right at 9 hours. It absolutely blew my mind. It was like, here we are. I thought time had just slipped by and you're coming back at mile 70. Did you have in 9 hours? Did you have any idea that you would be on that kind of pace that day? I mean, how are you feeling at that point?
Well, so at that point I was feeling pretty good, but I was starting to feel it. So I had no plan, like a certain time or anything like that. My only thing that I was thinking about at that time was I got to put as much distance on Dan Green as possible.
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't far behind.
Yeah, right.
And because we ran together for most of the first 50, and then I made a big move, go almost to the 50-mile marker. And I was hoping that that would break him, but I knew he's tough, he's strong, like he's going to come back at some point. So, going up the Payette Station Hill and everything else, I was just throwing everything I had just to get a bigger gap on him. And it was so fun because it was a race. Sometimes these ultras, you're not really into like the competitive side. It's all about the time. But I think we both like threw our watches out the window. We were just trying to beat each other because we have a really friendly, competitive relationship, and we smack talk each other all the time, and we're good friends, but we want to beat each other too. So yeah, and I know like for this coming year, he's going to be giving everything he has because he's going to try to win. So yeah, at that point, that was all I was thinking of. And I actually, one thing else I remember thinking of at the time was I lost my disposable or reusable cup. I think I even left it in the car, so I never had it the entire day.
Oh, gosh.
And thankfully, your aid station was super nice, and they gave me a cup to eat my ramen and chicken noodle soup and whatever.
Yeah.
So very thankful for that because that was much appreciated.
Oh, dude, absolutely. They did have some of those cups. It was a couples race, but there were some cups stashed.
Yeah, I was hoping
Good man. I was giving the people too, because you can't look. A runner comes through, they don't have a cup. What do you want to do? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you have the next one. So for sure. But Dan, you're right. He was right on your tail. And so you did the 70 miles in about 9 hours. You finished in 15, but those last 30 miles, that's where the pain was, right?
Yes. So after the Arrowhead aid station, which is the next one, that's really the Arrowhead section was the worst part because it's a long section from Long Point to Arrowhead. I think it's like almost 8 miles without an aid station. And those trails are mountain biking trails. So they're constantly turning, going up and down, and nothing too crazy hilly or anything, but it's like you get worn down from it. And I remember my stomach was kind of turning at that point. I was really looking forward to eating something hot and maybe like mashed potatoes or something. And so I went straight to the restroom when we got out to the aid station, come back out, go to the aid station. And unfortunately, like I guess we were running a little too fast because they didn't have everything ready yet. And they did a great job. They had tater tots, they were fine, but I was a little disappointed with what they had. And all of a sudden Dan Green comes out of the woods and I'm like, that got it. Maybe it's like true. But then
you have to run now, man.
I was like, we gotta go. So the whole next couple miles, which is like down that really big hill, I was thinking he's gonna blow past me. But like every mile that he didn't pass me, I was like, well, maybe he's gonna be there somewhere, but maybe he's a little bit farther than I think. And then I finally got my head back, like went down to the Kennard aid station, and then from then on it was like game on. Like if he gets on me, we're gonna race. I'm gonna give everything I have. But every race you run, you have those certain times where you don't think you can do it, and you kind of just have to push through. And if they pass you, they pass you, but you just got to figure out a way to keep going.
Yeah. So. And really, the last, once you kind of go down that trail and you get over to Kennard, and then that last aid station, man, it gets hard from there too. You got to climb back out of the gorge, and then it just rolls up in that ace property. And that's a hard way to finish that race, isn't it?
It is, and that's where it gets dark too. Yeah. Like the sun set between the Kennard and the Erskine aid station. So like mile 78 to 84 or 5, somewhere in there. So that's when you're turning your lights on, and all of a sudden you're running slower because you can't see as well. And then, yeah, you go up, you cross Arbuckle Creek, and you go straight up a really big hill. And then you're kind of sneaking your way around the resort. And it's kind of funny to look at the map because it's all over the place.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you don't know that you're passing a lot of the same stuff that's like right there in the middle until you look at the map. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun day though. Just fun, and like I'm super proud of Dan because that was his very first 100-mile race. You know, I at least had some experience from the previous year, so he gave it all he got, and I gave it all I got. I'm glad it all worked out. But I mean, his first one being his debut being 15:52, like that's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I ended up going back and working Concho Rim that night from about
Oh yeah.
till 5 a.m. Dude, I missed you there because you were 3 hours before I even showed up. Now, I just missed Holly Ann, so I saw the fifth place runner, but it gives you an idea how much room there was out front between you and those others. Only 15 minutes between you and Dan at the end of this thing. So, the year before, the very first race, you were in 18 hours, a little over 18 hours. What happened in 1 year that you take 3 hours off that? Was it, I would say that there's nothing like experience as a teacher.
Yeah.
Had experience with the course, but it's more than that. What else was going on?
There's a lot of things that go into that. I mean, experience is definitely the biggest one out of all. Your body gets not really used to it, but it knows what to expect by that point. You go through the feelings of feeling like your body's dissolving into acid throughout mile 70 or 100. So it kind of becomes callous to that. And I think I did a pretty good job of planning my races to kind of get better at the longer stuff. So we ran a 50-mile race in May, and then I ran a couple 50Ks. And we did a really good job training, me and Holly, and we did a really good job of training, like doing a lot more long runs. The mileage was a lot higher than it was the previous year, which helps. But another thing that made it faster was how cool it was this year. I mean, it was a perfect, like, it was 28 in the morning. They got up to like, low 50s and then went back down. So the year before, it was in the like 70s, and for 100 miles, that's a hot race for November at least. So I was sweating a lot more the previous year in 2020. I was drinking a lot more because I was sweating so much, and I think that that plays a big role in why I was so much faster as well. And then just having somebody to race against too, because like the previous year, I ran with Holly Ann for like 17 miles, and then after that, I took off and didn't want to see a single soul the rest of the day. Like I was totally content with not seeing anybody.
Well, and the next closest runner was 2 hours behind you too.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, but I was hoping that was the case. So that's just a different style of like racing that I like running like that. But it was totally different having somebody on my tail pushing me. Because like I had even like with like 2 miles to go, I wasn't sure if I was gonna win, because every time I looked back, there was a light, probably a cabin light or a street light.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that was Dan Green coming. So like I was scared to death the whole day, and that's the way it should be. When you're racing and you're up front, you should be scared. You should be trying to just get to the finish line first. So.
Well, that the most of us don't. We can't identify with that, but to be up front with that kind. But I'll tell you, it's it's pretty amazing in the way that you do that too. But also, I mean, you could have been seeing things too. People do that all the time.
I could have been hallucinating. Yeah,
imagining, hallucinating. So let's talk. I mean, so the 100K that we have here, it's a little different. I mean, it's a 10-mile 6-loop course, and it's going to be right on that 62 miles. So you're going to be seeing people all day. In fact, you're going to be lapping people most likely, because our cutoff is 18 hours. There'll be people that take every last bit of that.
Yeah.
You're going to be somewhere in half of that time. So you're going to be lapping some people too, but you also can have a chance to run with some friends. I mean, you've got some really competitive runners in this, and you and Dan and Alex, and who else, that shows up. Holly Ann thrown in there too. Have you all, because you're all signed up, you're all ready to go for the race. Have you talked about how you're going to handle this? You're going to try and, be friends for the first 40 miles and then run each other into the dirt after that, or break them from the start? What's going on?
I can't tell you what I'm going to do because I can't give away my secret, you know, because there's a lot on the line with this one. Not
Yeah,
only like the money and the, you know, winning and stuff, but like this is a personal pride thing because you know Hurricane's my hometown. This is
right.
home, so we got to defend the turf as best we can. And yeah, you know, Dan and Alex are definitely probably better runners than me, so it's gonna be gritty. It's gonna be one of those where it's gonna be really tough to win. And yeah, I don't know if I can or not, but we're going to give it a good shot. I really don't know. And to be honest, I had to run the course a couple times to really get a good feel of what I should do. And that's something that helped me with Rim to River a lot too, because me and Holly Ann and her husband Chris, we would go down the River Gorge a couple times and
Yeah.
you know, run the trails. And you know, even though we've run there before, we need to get a good feel of like what the loop's like. So
Right.
we'll definitely be doing that.
Yeah.
If we can't do it on Memorial Day weekend, which is the preview, we'll definitely do it later. But you know, getting a good feel of the course. You know, when does it start? Because that also plays a good role as
Six
well.
six a.m. It's
Okay,
6 a.m. start. Yeah.
and September we probably won't need lights. Oh, maybe we might for a
Yeah,
first
yeah,
half.
absolutely. I think so at the
Yeah.
start. We'll check that out, but at 6 a.m. start is September 10th. It's going to be
So
because you're going to get hit right into the woods. It's all single track.
yeah.
Caleb's
Okay.
referring to, for
So
those of you that may not know, is that first of all, there's prize money for this. We've got $7,500, $1,500 for the first place, female and male, $750 for second, $375 for third, and then we also have a relay, and so we'll have $750 for the top co-ed, top male, and top female teams. So there's some cashola on the line here, and so
yeah.
that's a good part of it too.
And there's going to be a lot of people sign up probably throughout the summer. And when they see that, like on Ultra sign up, they're like, "Whoa, okay, well, we'll
Yeah.
click that one." And yeah, that's why I'm really excited to see more and more people come on because it's going to happen. And there's going to be a lot of really competitive people. So it's not just going to be Dan, Alex, me, and Holly. And it's going to be a whole array of people we don't know, and that's going to be really fun because I think our group because we're all Huntington based. I mean, yeah, from Hurricane, but we all live in Huntington. So we're going to defend Hurricane as much as we can. That's in our area. You know, that's our West Virginia turf, and we don't
Yeah.
want anybody from out of state to win this thing
That's
at
right.
all. You know, any race in West Virginia, we have made it clear that we don't want any outstaters winning. You know, will it happen eventually? Yeah, but we don't want it to happen. So we're going to do
Right.
everything we can to not let it happen.
So we want to let the outsiders know we want them here. They're welcome here.
Want them here. The
They don't
challenge
have
is
a fight
on.
on their hands, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, West Virginia gets knocked around for a lot of things, and but you know, I grew up in this area. Went to school in Kentucky, lived in New York, and I moved back in 2006. I never thought that I would. I never thought that I wanted to. Now that I'm here again, you could not drag me away. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
people that you know, that especially for our young people that leave for other reasons, they want to go other places for, you know, other opportunities. But look, if there's something about it that you don't like, then stay and do something about it, man. Stay and
Exactly.
contribute. And that's, you know, for our trails here, for a lot of people that don't know, I mean, the trail's been built over the past 3 years, and it's all been volunteer community effort. And we have over 20 miles of single track trail that, you know, we put up against really kind of any other trails out there that are for mountain bikers, they're for hikers, they're for runners. And on any given day, like especially in the height of the season, we'll have over 350 people up there. We've
Oh
tracked
yeah.
before too, so it gets a ton of use. So we're excited to bring people in, let them see what West Virginia and our community has to offer. That they're welcome to here, appreciated. Man, we want them coming back and using our trails and enjoying our community because it is, you know, as your home and my home now too. It's a great place to be.
The Hurricane community is amazing. Like, I mean, I love the Huntington community as well, but it is it's bigger small town, but it feels like you know, not that everybody knows each other, but pretty much everybody does know each other. You know everything that's going on in the school. You know everything that's going on at the park system and on the trails as well. And just the fact that, like we were just talking about before it started, you know, if you volunteer over 100 hours on the trails, you get a trail named after you. So all these people who have worked on the trails and put all their hard, you know, work, their sweat, their tears in it, you see them out. You see it not only them out there, but you see it their sign and you're running on their trail. And I think that makes it even more special because you're like, hey, this person cares so much about this trail system that they even have a trail on their own, and they're going to keep it manicured as much as they can. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is that the property has been donated by the Meeks family, but the city leases it, and then MMTA, we operate it and build the trails. But really just to give a shout out to our mayor, Scott Edwards, too. We talked about this race. They're the reason that we have the prize purse. They put up to $7,500. And so Hurricane's responsible for that. We have another fantastic presenting sponsor in Little Caesars that have stores around here, but they are embedded in their community. By the way, do you like pizza?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Little Caesars pizza at the finish line. And, I don't know about you, but when I'm out running, there gets to be a point where all I think about is what I'm going to eat after this thing.
Yep. Exactly.
And so it's going to be a good finish, but they're definitely investing in the community, investing in the city of Hurricane and these trails. So that's a cool part of it as well. So we love to see all that. So another question for you in this is, you're a cross country and track coach, which, always associate with shorter distances, which you've done. And now you've gone out to, the long distance, but, as a runner and doing these long distance events, we know that fortifies your mind as part of this. What lessons do you share with your cross country runners, with your track and field runners that you've picked up from doing these long distance races?
That's a good question. So, in every cross country race, you're going to have external factors that are going to play a role in it. If it's September or August, it's going to be likely hot and humid. In the October, November season in cross country, you're going to see a mix of everything, but more than likely it's going to be rainy, cold, maybe snowy at the end. So being prepared for anything and not letting the things that you can't control dictate your race, dictate how you perform. It might hurt what you can do time wise, but then again, it doesn't really matter what time you run in cross country. It's all about just getting the best out of yourself. Running as hard as you can, getting to that finish line, hopefully placing well. We all want to have fast times. That's obvious, but the fastest times come whenever it's a perfect 40 degrees on a manicured golf course. And you don't see that a whole lot during cross country season, maybe once or twice a season. So what I try to teach my kids, at least, is how to get that grit of like, hey, no matter what happens, that I can't control the things that are out of my control. Weather, other competition, other things. You can't control them, so why worry about them? Do what you can. You can control what you eat, you control what you drink, hydrating enough. You can control your attitude going into the race. You can control your training going into the race. And what I try to do is train the athletes to be able to handle anything. I'll make my workouts as hard as I can, so that way not only they're physically able to run well, but mentally they're able to overcome any obstacle that they have going into each race. And there's always a point in the race where it's not going to feel good at all. And you have to make a decision. Should I keep pressing? Should I keep pushing? Or should I lay back? And hopefully I'm helping these kids learn that you got to just keep pushing. And that's the same thing in ultras too. Like you always get like overcome with these questions. Like, I don't know if I can finish. Like at mile 70, whatever, I was like, I don't know if I can keep this up. But if you just keep running and you fuel well and you drink enough, you'll overcome that, period of time where it doesn't feel that good, and you'll get back on to the race that you want to have. Then again, you may lose, you may get beat, you might not run the time you want, but I think all ultra runners have dealt with obstacles, and as long as they keep showing up, that's the win. Like my dad, he had some temporary blindness, corneal edemas. He is still as thrilled as ever to start running these races again. He told my mom he wasn't going to do any more 100 milers, but then I was like, Dad, you're definitely going to do one. Like you're lying to yourself, you're lying to her. Like you're going to do one. And it's just we're in love with the sport. We love getting the most out of ourselves, and even though you may fail, you may have to drop out at a certain point, but don't let that influence your love for the sport. And I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but hopefully I'm teaching these kids how to love the sport, how to overcome obstacles, and just to not worry about things they can't control. And all three of those come from ultra running.
Yeah.
So.
And there is, when I teach running classes, and a lot of times it's just convincing these people that, our American culture, it's like everything we do and everything our culture tells us is to make your life easier and more convenient.
Mm-hmm.
We do the exact opposite. We make it harder, and it's certainly not convenient. So we have this saying, and it's someone you've heard before, but I just ask them to repeat it, say, I can do hard things. And they start to say that, and then they realize it doesn't just apply to running. It applies to everything else in life. And so when you bring your body under the discipline of your mind, it's amazing how that translates into other aspects of your life, which is
every aspect
they start to learn, man. And then when that light bulb goes off, they're like, what else can I do? Bring up stuff. And that's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, definitely.
So it kind of leads to the next question, man. I've got which is, who's your running hero?
See, I was thinking about that one. This is tough because when I was in high school, my hero was Ryan Hall. He's one of the best American marathoners. Good Christian man. Like, he was just everything I wanted to be. It still is. He's a great role model. But I was trying to think of something that was not as stereotypical, like Jim Walmsley, Ryan Hall, Galen Rupp, and guys like Bob Luther and Brandon Perry. Those are my heroes. They are gritty as all get out. They love the sport. They were the original guys in the sport. They're the ones that got us started. And if you know Bob Luther, he's from Barbersville. That guy is so stinking tough, and I think he's a Marine or Army, or he's some type of armed forces, but he just brings this like aura of like, hey, I don't care how fast I'm going to run this, but I'm going to give it all I got, even if it requires me to throw up, and I'm still going to finish this race. Like that type of attitude. And then Brandon Perry, because he's from the Cross Lanes area, so he gets to run Meeks all the time, KSF and all that, but he started running to lose weight. And just his story about how he was able to transform himself into becoming this great runner that, is very competitive, goes all these races. He's running UROC in like a month. He's just inspiring, and he just does it because he loves it. And that type of love, even though he may not be winning too many races or anything like that, that's more inspiring to me than just being able to run fast. Because he's overcome so many obstacles to get where he's at now. And same with Bob Luther, too.
Yeah, Bob actually is a good friend of mine. I had lunch with him yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
So this just goes to prove his brain works like nobody else's. But all those, he's Army, Special Forces, Army Ranger, and Green Beret. Now, you don't know that because he never talks about it, but that's it. I mean, so like, don't cross him. You'll be in a Ranger chokehold before you can blow, and that would be the end. So, but there is something, physical ability for sure, but his brain is wired so differently that the pain really just doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a cool part of it too. So, man, this has been great. Thank you for the time. Appreciate you sharing your experiences, and so excited to have you running. Been signed up for the first ever Hurricane 100K. Cannot wait to be out there to watch you guys race. I mean, I don't know. This course is it's about 1,400 feet of elevation change, but there's nothing easy about it. It's all single track. It rolls probably not any more than 200 feet from in the biggest, climb that you'll have, but it's going to be one that's kind of relentless. So I'm very curious to see what you guys do. I'm thinking in the 9 hour, actually cracking 9 hour, between 8 and 9 hours. And I can't wait to see you come around and do. We're going to be there cheering for you, having a command center. I think the way it's going to be set up is going to be really cool to have support there coming through and cheering you on. You'll see everybody 5 times, see the other runners out there. They get to see you all. So it'll be a great community event, Meeks Mountain Trail. So for those of you that aren't already signed up, you can find it on Ultra Sign Up, Meeks Mountain Trails. And so for the Meeks Mountain Trail organization, the first ever Hurricane 100K, and our events team, which is made up of Ashley, Brandon, Hager, Stewarts, Vanessa, and Robert. We thank you all. Thank you, Caleb, for being here, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see you, man.